Another week has come and gone in Project 70, and I cannot believe that we are already at card 99 of 1020. But if Risk here starts going super meta, this from a mental perspective could be just a very, very intriguing set. I am going to give away all three of them. This giveaway is exclusive to people who are on my Discord server. And thank you to everyone who has joined us on Discord. The server continues to grow, and it's great to see the interaction, the conversation, the mail days, just everyone's thoughts around Project 70. But welcome to episode number 21. My name is Chris, otherwise on Twitter and Instagram is at CRT_sportscards. And my website, crtsportscards.com, is where you want to go for everything related to Project 70. And so as we close out another week in Project 70, what are your takeaways at this moment of this week? You know, last week we had just some amazing cards come out. We had some really, really high print runs. Of course, we had that Mantle, and of course we had that Mike Trout by Alex Pardee. But this week, Topps has kind of maybe left us in the dark. Now, we only have the possibility on Fridays of seeing 6 of the 15 cards, but when Topps fails to put up the print runs from the Tuesday cards, it kind of leaves us in the dark as far as where is the set going for this week. But when you take a look at the Monday cards, what were your sort of takeaways on the Monday cards? Were those numbers high for you? For the players, I understood there was a lot of controversy, a lot of opinion on the Monday cards overall, but was that Chipper Jones leading the way, the card that you thought would be the best-selling card? But when I took a look at all of the print runs, all three of them, let's not get ahead of ourselves here, the one big surprise for me and my biggest takeaway was the compression of the numbers. Look, we know the manager, Tommy Lasorda card, we knew that card wasn't going to sell very well. 1900, you know, is still quite a few copies sold in 70 hours, but from a Project 70 perspective, that is a very, very low print run. But when you took a look at the Chipper and the Kyle Lewis, I was most surprised here that Chipper Jones, considering his career, considering the age of collector in Project 70, I was just very surprised that card only sold 11 copies more than the Kyle Lewis. This is the very first time we saw Chipper Jones in the set. Chipper Jones is a Hall of Fame player, but this begs the big question. We know, and it was confirmed today on Twitter, and I say confirmed in a very loose term here, this was not a sought-after answer, but all of the artists were provided a list from top to bottom of players who were most collectible out there, and that right there explains why we are seeing so many repeat players. And I would argue the fact right now that the players that they picked last year for Project 2020, all 20 of those are going to be near the top of that list. But where did Chipper Jones fall on that list? I, again, here, very, very surprised, considering the career of Chipper versus the career of Kyle Lewis is not even anywhere in the same ballpark right now. But we will see how the print runs go later on this week and into next week. And I will also be very curious to see if another artist takes on Chipper Jones to what that card will print versus this Old Man Allen. And then quickly touching on that Kyle Lewis by Rochester, which I was giving away free on my Monday episode. I know right now this card, the print run, threw everyone for a loop because as I did a very, very quick look at the numbers, I right now will not be naming a winner because I need to double check the numbers. I think the nearest person was 2021. It looks like there were 2 people at that number, but I need to go back and figure out exactly if that's the nearest print run. And that reason for not having the print run right now is my sort of number one concern with the set. And look, we are going to get the biggest answer in the next few weeks, next 6 months around will this set have a bump because of the season. But I think on the flip side, maybe the negative side, the opportunity side is, can this set keep up with baseball going on? Can people keep their attention focused on this set as we go through the baseball season? Of course, I didn't post much last night or go through the numbers because I was at the Mariners game, and just like many, many other fans out there, their eyes are diverted to the game of baseball. Project 2021 handily last year because all of the eyes were off of sports and they were on to other things, and Project 2020 was one of those major things. And with this set as expansive as it is, Look, we are only at card 99 right now. There are still 1,000 or 921 cards to go. There is a lot of time and a lot of areas where people can lose focus of the set. So maybe these print runs are going to continue to drop. So we will see what happens in the coming weeks, in the coming months. And I really hope, though, that Topps does not hold back all of the remaining print runs until Monday. But if they do, hang on, because there's a lot of breakdown analysis going to have to happen on these print runs that happen on Monday morning. But now let's take a look at the cards that came out from Thursday and Friday. There have been some returning artists bring out their second and their third cards. And we've also had some newer artists release their second card in the set. And now what I normally do here is break up the cards and talk about them in order of release day, Thursday and Friday. But I'm going to break these up because when you look at all 6, they fit all neatly into 3 different columns. And so when you take a look at the first 2, you have Blue the Great releasing his Turbo Deion Sanders. And then we have Toy Tokyo releasing their Bernie Williams. This, of course, is Bernie Williams' first card in the set, and this is Deion Sanders' second card in the set. Although some people do want to forget about the first card that released of Deion Sanders, but here we have Deion Sanders in action with the Cincinnati Reds. But I do have a question here, and these answers may get lost in all of the print run guesses for my giveaway tonight. But when you think about Deion Sanders in baseball or even in football, which team comes to mind to you first when you think about Deion Sanders on the diamond? Is it the Yankees? Is it the Braves? Is it the Reds? And then here on Bernie Williams, and both of these cards, by the way, are falling in my action group because you have Bernie Williams here at bat. But that's kind of all that I have right now on the Bernie Williams. I don't really have much more to say other than it's Bernie Williams at bat by Toy Tokyo. So we'll see what the next card is for Toy Tokyo, see how they approach another one of their releases. Of course, their first one was that Stay Unusual, which was very easy to see by Stay Unusual, but we're going to figure this one out probably in the coming weeks and in the coming months. But now moving over to our what I'm calling portrait group here, we have Matt McCormick with his Ken Griffey Jr., and we have Chinatown Market with their Mark McGwire. Going after the Ken Griffey Jr. first here, when you take a look at this card, it takes you back to Ken Griffey Jr.'s nickname, the Kid. You take a look at the 1980s, late 80s Mariners uniform there. You've got 87 Topps. This card kind of predates Griffey altogether because of his famous card being in 1989 Upper Deck. So it really grips you because it takes you back to a very specific time frame of his career when he was coming up in the majors. And then when you take a look at that Mark McGwire, this one here again takes you back to a very specific time frame in baseball and in Mark McGwire's career when basically doing steroids and doing everything else was, I guess, legal and looked upon as being okay in the game. You remember McGwire's just cartoonish arms. You remember him and Sammy Sosa's just cartoonish home run totals. But when you have these two cards together, they take you back to the early 90s and also the late 90s in baseball. One player did it clean, the other player did not do it as clean. But regardless of your thoughts and opinions on clean or dirty, who did it right, who did it wrong, both of these cards work. And when you take a look at the Mark McGwire plus the Ichiro from Chinatown Market, we are getting a clearer picture on where their set is going right now in Project 70. But now it is time to get lost in the absolute most positive way you can with cards. And I relate this back to having a book over the weekend and one you cannot put down. We have JK5 with his Reggie Jackson, and we have Gregory Siff releasing his third card. This is the very first time we've had an artist release their third card before some artists released their second card. With his second New York Met, we have Gary Carter. And taking a look here specifically at the JK5 Reggie Jackson, I highly recommend you go watch his about 2.5 minute video on Instagram talking about the inspiration of this card, talking about his daughters. There is just so much into this card, and this card here, very true to JK5. You could get this card in the mail and spend 3, 4, 5, 6 hours studying the card, getting lost in all of the details. The details that you see right now on the Topps website are nothing compared to what you get and you feel when you see a JK5 card in hand. So get this card, buy it, and take a look at it, because you are going to experience JK5 and also Reggie Jackson in this card. And now last up, when it comes to Thursday and the Friday releases, we have Gregory Siff with his Gary Carter. We have Gregory Siff here getting back to his roots. The Aaron Judge, as I said, as a fan and collector of Gregory Siff, was a little bit what I didn't expect, but we get back to the basics here with this Gary Carter. And just like with the JK5 Reggie Jackson, this one is a little more simplistic when you think about the intricacy of JK5, and that is not a slight at all on the Siff artwork here. Is when you take a look at the background images of this Gary Carter. Every single thing there is a reference to Gary Carter. So you could basically get this card in hand, Google image 1, research it. Look at image number 2, figure out what it means. Image number 3. There are so many cool things about this card that everything on the card, it might look like doodles, it might look like scribbles, but there is an incredible amount of player information on this card. There is personal information. His wife is on there. His kids are on there. There are so many great things about Carter on this card, but the number one thing that grips you when you take a look at this card is the smile Siff used on Carter. You cannot do anything but smile when you look at this card, and then you get a smile when you start to learn more about Carter by researching the card and taking a look at all of the fantastic details on the card. So these two cards, the JK5 Reggie Jackson and the Gregory Siff Gary Carter, are my two favorite cards from the Thursday and Friday releases in Project 70. And so while I promised to give away a Gregory Siff card pretty soon, I do really want to give away this Gary Carter. It did come out on Thursday though, so I'm going to pass for now. I will be giving away the Chinatown Market Mark McGwire. How big or how low is this print run going to be for this card? So in the comments below, leave your print run guess below. But number one, to be qualified, you must be subscribed to the channel. So hit that subscribe button and then put your print run guess below. With that, have a fantastic weekend. Buy every single card you want from the Topps.com website. Use my website this weekend for the latest in-depth pricing on first artist cards. And I'll see you back on Monday night for episode number 22 of the Project 70 show.